I started Project H about a year and 8 months ago in January of 2008. And as I was introduced, I was working at a company that will go unnamed, designing doorknobs, and quit that afternoon after that meeting and have been my own boss ever since. And I went to architecture school for my undergraduate degree and then got a graduate degree in product design. And so left with 6 years of really awesome design education and close to $100,000 in student loans. So the corporate job, I'm sure you can see why it was alluring, but at a certain point you just realize that you want to do something that matters. And whatever that means to you, I think a lot of the other speakers can attest to the importance of doing something that matters to you and hopefully to the rest of the world. So Project H Design was what grew out of this. It's a nonprofit coalition of mostly product designers, but a growing number of graphic designers and architects and the occasional accountant and lawyer and just sort of random people that care and want to work on these projects. So as I said, I did the sort of traditional corporate design thing in both product design and architecture, but the doorknob moment was representative of this feeling that design is really about problem solving. And to me, it felt like everything that I was working on as a designer, I was looking at the wrong problems. So when I founded this organization, I had about $1,000 in my bank account. I was living at my parents' house. It's a very sad story. And had this like laundry list of, okay, these are the people I'm going to prove wrong. And first on the list was this kind of like unjustifiable, unstoppable, consumption-driven design. It was all about more and more and more stuff that we really didn't need. And then secondly, it was this kind of, I call this design masturbation. This is like the luxury market that's designed for design's sake. And I just wanted to prove that yes, aesthetics are important, but it's not just, we can't design more and more $5,000 coffee tables for the elite when there's a huge need that isn't being filled by people with really, really well-honed design skills. This is a graphic that went around the blogosphere a while ago, and it says, "Design won't save the world, go work at a soup kitchen, you pretentious fuck." So I was like, all right, I know I'm a naive optimist, and I don't really like pessimism, but I hate pessimism on posters even more, and I was like, okay, this is my rebuttal. So I think that design can change the world, but with a few caveats. So when you say the world, are we really talking about the whole world, or is it my world, or the world of a fourth grader and his classmates? Is it a homeless community? Is it a microeconomy? So the world is a relative term. And then the ultimate realization I came to was that none of this is going to happen. We're not going to change anything as designers unless we change the way that we work and start to reorient our priorities away from just simply the bottom line towards social impact and environmental impact. We have 9 chapters in, 6 in the US and 3 internationally. About 300 designers total, working on 22 projects currently. So this is, whoa, thanks. It's been a total adventure, and we really went into this with no business plan. What we did go into it with was this kind of credo, which took the form of a 5-point Word document that went out to everyone who wanted to volunteer. So the first is I think the most important, which is why it's the first, and there's no design without action. This is a very important yet simple distinction between what I was doing before and what I hoped Project H would be. That design is a verb, and there is no design without actually building solutions. Sitting around and talking about it is only about this much of the big picture, and that if you're not executing on your initiatives, it's really not design in my book. We can argue about this. Some people might disagree and might be right, but for Project H, this was really important, that there was always an action and that there were real projects that existed in real communities. So our first project ever this is something called the hippo roller, and you may have seen this. It's a transportation device for water in the developing world. It was designed about 15 years ago by 2 South African men. So we came into this, it was an existing product. We didn't design this original thing. But it's an amazing product. So this is the before. You carry 5 gallons of water on your head, and it's very difficult. I've tried it, and primarily it's women and children who are going to fetch water as well. So obviously incredibly inefficient and unsafe in the long term. So the hippo roller is the alternative, 24 gallons instead of 5 on your head. So we went into this recognizing that this was an amazing product and that it had an amazing potential for social impact. However, it costs $100 to produce and deliver one of these things, which is ridiculous. It's made from plastic. It should not be that expensive. The reason it's that expensive is because there's one manufacturing facility outside Johannesburg, terrible quality control. We funded 75 of these, and I went to the factory, and they had to make about 150 just to get the 75 that were good enough to send into the field. So we delivered these 75 that we funded and then said, okay, we understand the way this thing works. We understand there's an opportunity to lower the price point and to make it more accessible, and then also to do some sort of structural re-engineering because it had some problems with the water tightness. We just saw an opportunity to improve something that was good but could be so much better. So this is the manufacturing facility. We worked very closely with them. We also brought in Engineers Without Borders, the San Francisco chapter, because we recognized, we're good designers, but we could use some help on the really nitty-gritty material and mechanical aspects of this thing. So what we ended up doing, the redesign, which is going into production hopefully in January 2010, is actually not that different from the original because the hippo roller has been around for 10 or 15 years now, and it exists in a lot of communities, and it's an icon in some ways, and people recognize it and say, oh, that family has a hippo roller, that's, I wish I could have one. We didn't want to change the original aesthetic too much. So this is the redesigned version. It looks very similar. The main difference is that we cut it into 2 pieces. So now you can see on the left, this is when it's all put together. You only have to put it together once. The advantage of having it as this sort of capsule construction is you can take the top half and flip it upside down and nest it inside the other half and stack them together. So the real advantage here is the shipping efficiency. So the top image with the white, that's the original form, the Hippo 1.0, which is 4 by 9 across that you can ship on one layer of a shipping container. And on the bottom, it's 5 by 15, which is 75. So over twice as many, which lowers the price point and the ease of shipping.